Hello everybody, I'm back to give my entire testimony of how God healed and delivered me from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. Lymphoma is actually a blood disease, a blood cancer I should say, and it has something to do with your immune system. That says a lot about where God has taken me from this point on in my life, but I'll have to share that in future videos. But this is about how it all began. It actually began back in 2010 while I was in cosmetology school. Pain started to shoot from my shoulder down to my wrist. And it started on my right side, as a matter of fact. And with me being in that profession, automatically I thought it was carpal tunnel. But my teachers thought it was really strange that I would get carpal tunnel and I just started in that profession. It's something that you acquire over time while being in the industry. Well, all the symptoms that I had, everything I was feeling, it was just like the description in my book. So I'm like, oh man, I haven't even got out in the field good yet, and I got carpal tunnel. So it would hurt me so bad to where I had problems like bending my fingers and using my shears and combing my client's hair when I got out on the floor. So I got me a brace for carpal tunnel from Walmart. And then the pain would radiate from this side over to my left side. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I got carpal tunnel in both hands? This is crazy. Well, as time went along, I just dealt with it. I got through school. I got through being on the floor, getting my hours. I went through boards and everything, passed with flying colors, and I got my my cosmetology license. But while I'm going through that process, I'm swelling. I'm swelling from my head down to like my neck. I mean, really swollen. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? And then when I would swell up, I had problems breathing. Well, when I went to the emergency room, they said that I had environmental allergies. And I'm like, what? I never had any allergies in my life but hay fever, and that's mild, and I grew out of that. And they said because I'm not from Pennsylvania, I had to adjust to the environment. And I'm like, well, I've been here almost 2 years, and when I first came, I didn't have any problems. Well, they loaded me up with every allergy medicine that you can think of. I had it. But still, it was like nothing was giving me any relief. So the women of the ministry were praying for me and, you know, were just speaking over my life and just encouraging me. And I was still doing the lines and preaching and encouraging people. But I felt so bad. I cannot describe the pain that I was feeling. But I was like, Lord, you got me. You know, I know this is going to go away. It's going to be all right. So I just kept on moving day by day in faith. But one day I got so sick and I was at home by myself and I had took some allergy medicine they had gave me, but I was so sick, y'all, I passed out and hit my head on the wall. I don't know how long I laid there, and in the spirit realm I could see like I was a warrior. And I had like my sword in my back right here, whatever holds your sword, but I was dressed up like a warrior in the spirit. And I believe the Holy Spirit gave me that vision to give me the strength to get up. I don't know how long I was passed out. All I know is I kept thinking, I cannot stay here and let my husband find me this way. Forgive me if I get a little choked up. So that gave me the strength to get up off the floor and get into bed. Then it got so difficult, whereas I was sleeping, practically sitting up, because the pain in my chest was unbearable. It was a pain like you wouldn't believe. So I was stacking up pillows, like 3 and 4 pillows at a time, laying like this, sitting up, so I could at least get some relief so I could rest. And again, the ladies were praying for me and ministering to me, and my armor bearer told me, Evangelist Diane, she said, Apostle, we need to be praying that God will reveal exactly what this is. And so around that time, we went to North Carolina. It was myself, Evangelist Diane, and my husband. And I was swollen. It was around my birthday, May 30th, Memorial Day. And I was swollen. I was just sick. And before we went to go get her, I was in the back seat that night and just laid out. And I wish I could explain to you the pain that I felt. I mean, it was like I was going in and out. I believe I was looking death in the face. So I was going in and out. Things were blurry. My chest was hurting so bad. And I was trying to just find some relief. So my husband, all he could do was just drive and lay his hands on me and pray. And it got to the point where the pain was so great where I asked him, I said, baby, do you think I'm about to go to heaven? And he said, no, baby, no, you got too much work to do. It's not your time yet. And, you know, I say this all the time, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Going through something like this, it is a pain. It is a situation that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. That's how bad it was. But I pulled through there, and as soon as we got to North Carolina, I went to the doctor in Greensboro, and they couldn't find anything, and they gave me steroids. Every time I would go through this, the only thing that would help me was steroids, and it would take down the swelling, also give me some relief so I could breathe. Well, trying to make this long story short, because I want you to get the book when I write it, it got so bad one day, whereas when my husband got home, he looked at me and he said, something is terribly wrong. We have got to take you to the hospital. Now, mind you, I had been going back and forth to the emergency room, so I was just tired of getting the same diagnosis. I was getting tired of them telling me the same thing, but nothing was getting better. So I was fussing. I'm going to be honest. I was fussing. I was telling my husband, I'm not going back to the emergency room. I'm tired of them telling me the same thing. They're going to give me some allergy medicine, and it's going to be the same thing. He said, no, this time they're going to tell you what's wrong. We are not going home unless we get an answer. So I got dressed as best as I could. Y'all, I was so sick. I could barely walk. I could barely breathe. The swelling was throbbing. I mean, the pain was crazy. I mean, I was like that for months and months. And so with the swelling and the pain, I was like that for weeks. I had been out of school around this time. So I'm just dealing with this the best way I know how. I'm praying. I'm asking God, to help me, take me through it. And he did. He did. So before I got to the hospital, I prayed. I said, God, send me a doctor or bring a doctor that's older, that knows this profession, that could just look at me and know what's wrong. And you know what? That's exactly what God did. When they took me back into the emergency part, going through, the waiting room, y'all know the process. I get back there in the room, and an older Caucasian doctor walked in. I said, wow, God, you are amazing. And he kind of looked at me. And I knew with the way he looked at me, he kind of knew what was going on, but he couldn't say anything until he ran the test and was for sure. So, mind you, when you go to the emergency room, they lay you back on the little bed. I was in so much pain, y'all, I was sitting up. I told him, please don't lay me back. My chest was hurting that bad. I was sitting up just like this. They had the bed this as far, like straight up, like this. And it just hurt. It just hurt so bad. And I was struggling to breathe and the swelling and everything. So I went through the whole thing of telling him how long I've been going through it, the symptoms and everything. So he said, well, we're going to run some tests. And Miss Foreman, we're going to find out what's wrong. They ran the test. I took all these types of tests and everything. And I kept asking for pain medicine. They wouldn't give me any. But after they ran the test and they said, it's time for us to give you pain medicine. We're going to give you some morphine. I said, morphine? I never had morphine in my life. I knew at that point, with them giving me morphine, that something was terribly wrong. I took the morphine, eased the pain. I was so thankful. Well, the test came back, and the doctor came in the room, like an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And he came back, he kind of had his head down, and he said, Miss Foreman, I'm here to inform you that you have a tumor in your chest. Now, the pain that I was feeling was radiating right here. It was like right here, my lower abdomen and in my chest, and part of my back, like a little section in my back. And I couldn't breathe. I was struggling, y'all. And so when he said tumor, it didn't dawn on me at that moment. Ding, 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 cancer. All I could think of was tumor, was this big mass in my chest. That's all I could think of. I guess I was in a state of shock. So my husband, he was looking like, what? No, not my wife. A tumor? You know, and so he was asking me questions. I was like, baby, ask the doctor. I'm just trying to deal with this the best way I know how. Well, anyway, when he came back again, he said, we're going to take you upstairs to the intensive care unit. And it was a little bit higher than the intensive care unit. I can't remember the word he said before, but it was like really serious. So he said, we're going to take you up there and we're going to get you into immediate surgery. Well, they took me up there. They got me into immediate surgery. It's details that I went through about that. And when I came out of surgery, they said that they explained this before I went in surgery, but I'm just trying to get through the story so I could just give you a glimpse of what I went through. They did a biopsy of the tumor to see if it was cancerous. And then they found fluid around my heart. So what was causing the pain was this big old tumor that's pressing on my lungs, my heart, and part of my back. And I got fluid around my heart. So they had to drain the fluid out. They got the biopsy. Of course, they found out that it was cancerous. And my journey began from there. When you get out of surgery, you have this cut on your chest. I got this tube about maybe that much, I found out later, was inside my body, draining the fluid, the rest of the fluid out from around my heart. I'm in excruciating pain. But in my mind, I kept it positive. The Bible says, whatever a man thinketh, so is he. I kept thinking that I'm going to make it through this, no matter how hard it may seem, no matter how much I hurt, I'm in pain, I'm going to make it through it. And I kept saying, I'm strong, I can do it, I can do it. So when you come out of this type of surgery, they put a bedpan, like a toilet seat by your bed, and then they help you or they give you a catheter. I was determined in my mind that they wasn't going to put no catheter up in my body.